Hey guys, and welcome to another video here on our channel The Guide. I'm Benjamin, also known as Taz, and today we have a completely new way how we deliver you some helpful tips for FIFA 21. Because usually we talk about a specific topics and we give you some tips by looking at some examples. But for this time we're changing it up a bit. We're going to pick a broad topic, and for this video it's defending, and by analyzing two scenes I'm going to explain how to think as an elite player, because I'm going to cover everything. My ideas, what I'm seeing, my reasoning, my decision making, etc. And you will understand how I defend as an elite player. And this is a different approach because it's based on analysis of in-game situations, and I think this is going to be very helpful for you because you will not only hear about defending and some theoretical concepts, but also how to apply the theoretical knowledge and convert it into actions in-game. Analyzing gameplay is also a huge part of individual coaching in FIFA, as it helps to spot some weak points or leaks that you have in your game. Identifying those and getting rid of them can help you to improve your results immensely. If this sounds interesting for you, feel free to check out our coaching website, at which you get more information about our coaching services and our Pro, Top 100 and Elite coaches. You can find the link in the video description. And now let me explain how to think as an elite player. Alright, let's start with analysis, and first of all I'm going to briefly explain what you can see additionally to what you're used to when you play FIFA. And one thing is the live controller input, and you probably know that when you watch other videos from our channel that we like to use that quite a lot, because this is actually live what we were doing with the controller in this moment. So right now I'm pressing the left stick to the top left and also use the sprint button, the R2 button for example. And this is going to change. So this is always what my input was in this moment. And then you also see this white circle, and this is an eye tracking device or an eye tracking overlay. This means in this moment my eye is focusing, or my eyes are focusing on my player who's in control of the ball. And this is going to shift. It's not always 100% accurate, but it gives you a tendency to what I'm looking, how my focus is shifting, and therefore this gives another layer to understand my reasoning, my decision making in FIFA. And therefore I think this is a very nice combination, because you see what I'm seeing, what I'm focusing at, and also what my input is, what I try to accomplish, and what the timings are for this kind of input. So let's start, obviously, because we want to talk about defense. I'm losing the ball. Now my opponent has the ball, and in the center, and I think this was quite interesting, I was focusing on my player. Most of the time I'm going to focus in these kind of situations at my opponent and try to understand what he is doing. But because I just lost the ball, I try to assess where my player is and how realistic it is that I can actually challenge the ball or the opponent who is in ball possession. So I'm focusing now. You see that I'm actually shifting my vision to the opponent, and as you can see here, the vision is not 100% accurate. I'm most likely looking at the ball in this moment, and my opponent plays the ball away. So now what you will notice, in this moment my focus immediately shifts away, because I don't have to pay attention to this anymore, and my focus is totally shifting, and I'm trying to shift even further to the right, because these kind of players, they're dead basically, because with this kind of ball my opponent just skipped them, and therefore you can see my vision is shifting to the right side, and you will notice that I'm going to press the L1 button to switch the player, because this player, he would be only chasing and trailing behind, and I don't want to do that when there's not a huge change, because this gap is already very large, and therefore I want to have someone who can actually maybe put pressure on this guy, like actually challenge the ball. Therefore I switch and I get my left back. This is very crucial. When I pull him out like that, I'm aware of that if I'm giving up the security of my left back staying back. This is very crucial. I'm aware of that, but you have to be also aware of that when you do that, because you will see that I'm very, very decisive in the way how I challenge the opponent here, because I get out, like try to challenge for the ball, try to make his play up front more or less impossible, and like when I'm not succeeding with that, now I'm in an even worse situation, because my opponent now can maybe play a pass like that, like down the lane, and if I move out like this, I give up the security of my left back. So I have to make sure that I'm able to either get the ball or interrupt the play, like with a foul or maybe a throw-in and stuff like that. So, but in this case, I have to be decisive. I have to like actually get in a position to interrupt the play, as I explained, and I was able to do that. So this was very crucial. Now my opponent has a throw-in and the play stabilizes a little bit, and we can focus a little bit more on my player switches and how my decision making looks in detail for my opponent's attacks. So he's playing that throw-in, and in this moment you can see when he's doing that throw-in, my vision immediately shifts to this player. And I do that because, first of all, I understand when he was doing that throw-in, like to this player, to his center back, he basically has two options, like so he's going to understand what kind of players are free at this moment when he's controlling the ball, like this player or back to this player. These are mainly his two options, maybe also a pass like that. And I ask myself, what can I do about these two options? And I'm going to clear the screen a little bit and just show these two. What can I do about it? I want to interfere and maybe be one step ahead, and therefore I switch to this player and try to get into the passing lane. And first of all, you see that my vision changes to this player and shifts to this player because I confirm my player switch. This is something which you will see most often, or a lot of the times, that I confirm a player switch by looking at the player and see that I got him. So this is what I'm doing. I switch and try to get into the passing lane. Then my vision changes, and now you can see, like, I already covered this passing lane quite quickly, and I understand that if he also recognized that, he is going to change his plan. If his plan was to play a pass like that I just showed, he's not going to do it anymore. And this is the time window for me to switch back to my other player to then put pressure on him. So this is what I do a lot of the time, is I get rid of an option or make an option for my opponent not very appealing, and because he has to shift once again his plan or change his plan, this does give me the time to then put pressure on him. So this is what I try to do here, and in this case I don't like focus on this player because I know when I use the L1 button, the regular player switch button, that I'm going to get this player, and I pay attention to what he is doing on the ball. You will see that quite often. In this moment he plays the pass to his right back, and you can see my vision directly shifts not to this player because I want to understand what his next option is going to be. And this is the thing that I think is what he wants to do next, play a pass like that. Therefore, you will understand or see that I'm going to switch to this player to then already rush out to then maybe intercept the pass, or if this is not the case, maybe make his ball control as hard as possible and make the ball control as hard as possible and challenge the ball then. So you see, I switch my vision to this player, I make the player switch, and then I rush out. And now I'm focusing on the player controlling the ball because I want to see what is he doing. Is he, like, how is he controlling the ball? Is there a chance that I can actually challenge right here? And I felt in this moment I'm very close with my player. There's a decent chance that I can get to the ball when I press tackle. So in the end I don't succeed. And my opponent is able to play this pass, the next pass. And what you also can see in this moment is I understand my vision shifts to this duel here, and so far my opponent played a lot of 1-2 passes, like one-touch passes. Like if you take a look at this, he played like this this was one pass, then he played this one touch more or less, played this one touch, and I felt like there's a lot of pace in his attack, and therefore you can already see that my vision is changing, my focus is changing to this player because I felt there's a chance that he's going to play a pass like that, and therefore I want to be one step ahead my vision is changing to the center back, and I want to be the guy who's like intercepting that pass, but also I can stay in control over this duel. If the attacker is doing a run up front, then I would be able also to get control over this and follow the run. Therefore, my vision changes, as you can see. I switch, my vision is to this player, I switch to him, I confirm my player switch, and then I try to get into this passing lane. Then you can see my vision changes to this player, so it was about to get here. I understand that it's going away, and as you can see, FIFA is very fast paced. It's a lot of stuff happening, and in this case he's playing that pass. I confirm my position with this center back, and then I try to understand what's happening here. And in the moment when I understand that he doesn't control the ball very nicely, that the ball is open, you can see it right now, the ball is open, and I understand that the next ball contact that my opponent is going to have is going to take some time. This is the go signal for me to challenge the ball. So I'm paying attention to how he's controlling the ball, and when I see that he doesn't have a lot of control over the ball, and because of my positioning of this player, I understand that I can challenge the ball. So this is how I get the ball in this situation, and I think this was a very nice first scene to analyze how my player switches are, how I confirm my player switches, and then also try to understand what the options are for my opponent and how I act accordingly. Alright, let's have a look at another scene, and once again I'm going to lose the ball. This is the case right now, and immediately I do a player switch to maybe get this player in a position that he can do something. But what I will notice quite soon is that there's no real chance, because most of the time, as you can see, my opponent is playing a pass like that, so he's gaining a lot of ground in that moment. And what you can see is then I want to switch my player to this player, because this is the guy, the next guy, that can maybe do something about the attack of my opponent. I don't want to chase with these players. There's not much that you can benefit from that. And what you will also see in this moment is that I'm struggling a little bit with the player switches, because I felt like with the player switch I can get this player with the L1, but I didn't. And I get this player, I understand that, and then I did the right stick player switch, and I wanted to get to that player. So you can see, as I showed you before, or explained before, I like to confirm apparently the player switches by looking at the player that I wanted to control when I'm not quite sure if it worked out. And in this case it didn't work out. I will go back a little bit, and you will see that here I did the right stick player switch. In that moment it's very hard, it's because it's very, very fast, but there you can see I did the right stick player switch. Apparently I did it in the wrong direction. I get the other player, and I understand that because I confirmed the player switch by looking at the player that I wanted to get, and then I do another one. So now I get the right player, get the control over the player, and then next step is, after I have the right player that I want to control, I look at my opponent, what is he doing with the ball. And he just did a small shift of his play, like he was running like that, and now he's going to the inside, and I felt like there's a chance that he's maybe playing a pass like that. So I take this player and try to get into the passing lane. This is what I'm doing in this moment. Try to prevent this pass from happening, because I felt like with the way how he behaved on ball, that this is the direction that he wants to play. In the end he didn't. He's waiting, and similar to the scene before, I understand that this is not something which is about to happen, or which is like very realistic that my opponent is going to do it. And what are his next options? He can play a pass like that, maybe play a pass like that, or maybe, and this is very unrealistic, something like that. But you always have to ask yourself, what is realistic in terms of what my opponent is likely to do, but also what is realistic in terms of what can you actually influence or can maybe interfere. And in that moment I felt like the best chance is to get this player and try to put pressure on him. There's no realistic scenario at which I can put pressure on this player right away, similar to that player. And therefore you always have to think quite simple, but think ahead of your opponent. This is what I'm doing here. I could have sticked with the same player and tried to stay in control. This is also something that I would have liked when I see the scene once again. because when I have a look at some situations, obviously I will do mistakes. Not everything that I do is going to be correct, and I will see mistakes from my side. So I have this player try to prevent this pass from happening, as you can see, and once again my vision changes, or is at the player who's controlling the ball. I'm paying attention, what is he doing, what kind of action is he doing, what are his options based on the way how is he dribbling, because right now he is dribbling in that direction, so he's open for like passes like that or that or that, etc. But not as easy for a pass, for example, in that direction. It's not as easy. It's not impossible, but it's not as easy. The current game direction is to the downside, and therefore I want to control someone who's playing at the downside. Okay, my opponent, as I can see, I succeed quite a lot in making it hard for him to continue. He's playing a pass like that. I pay attention to that, and then in this moment I see that he is not a very good ball contact, or at least maybe not the best ball contact, but he's having a lot of pace in the way how he's controlling the ball, and the ball once again is open. This is a go sign for me to say, hey, maybe there's a chance for me that I can challenge the ball. That's why I rush out and try to challenge also the ball, because I felt, because of the ball contacts, of the pace my opponent had with this player, that there's a chance of maybe that I'm successful in challenging the ball. I wasn't, but this is not a big issue. What is important is that you don't like try to chase with this player and maybe try to close the gap from behind. But this is gone. This is dead. Like, this player can't do shit anymore. Sorry for the language, but therefore I switched to this player, and this is a guy who's in front of the opponent's play. He can do something about it. And now I make something which in retro perspective, I would say it's not the best choice, because I felt like, as you can see, my vision is already shifting away from the player who's like whoever I selected, and this is most of the time in a signal that I'm going to switch the player, and in this case I'm going to switch to this center back. I felt that there is a chance my opponent is trying to skip the midfield and try to play a very fast pass to the striker here. That's why I wanted to be one step ahead of my opponent and maybe challenge him right away. This is not the best choice, as you can see, because I could have stayed with this player, would have still control over the guy who's on ball possession, but then also would have been able to maybe pull them back and put pressure from behind. I don't like my choice here when I see how I behaved in this situation, but like as I said before, FIFA is a very fast-paced game, and you will make decisions in just a brief moment, and sometimes you make the wrong decision, but you have to deal with it, what's happening. In this case, I then stick with this player because like he is the player who can have at least a little bit control over the situation, because what you can already see from this situation here, it's not developing in a very good way, because there are basically 3 attackers here, and in the focus on my defense I only have 2. This is what about to develop, and I don't like that, because this guy isn't doing much right now, and the problem is that I deselected him, and this is an error that I noticed here. Anyway, in this moment I'm paying attention to what my opponent is doing on the ball. Once again, I want to see in what kind of direction he is shifting his game. And he's continuing, and I confirm that I can maybe put pressure on him. I get lured out a little bit, and then he plays this pass. And in this moment I understand, because I moved him out a little bit out of position, and I see the indication of a run like this. I can't do much with this player anymore. I lost control over the situation with this player, because yes, I could have maybe trailed and tried to close that gap that I opened. So this is entirely my fault here. I could have maybe closed the gap and trailed and chased this player, or maybe I can put pressure on him, but this would be me chasing the game. I don't want to chase the game. I want to be in control of the game, and therefore I do this player switch. Once again, I confirm a player switch by looking at this player, recognizing that I got him, because it was not the most obvious player switch to do. And then I stay in control here and see what's happening. Because with this player, as you can see here, now I got control back to at least some extent. The situation is not good, but at least I have some control, because I could put pressure on him, but I could also move back to catch this guy. Right? That's why I wanted to do that player switch. That's why it's so crucial to get a player who's in control, in charge of what's happening in front of your goal. And in this moment, I felt like that he is seeing how appealing this run is, because I moved him out. There's a wide gap here, a lot of space here, and technically I'm in front of this passing lane that I show here, like for example like that, but he could also play a lob through pass like over my player, like that. And I felt like this is what's happening here, because this run of Neymar and the gap behind my defensive line is so appealing, and therefore I had a very good read on my opponent that this is a pass that he wants to play. I moved my center back. In this case, quite interestingly, I pay attention to the positioning of my player. That's why I stay with my focus on this player, because in this moment the positioning of this player is so crucial, and based on my peripheral vision I can understand how the players around me are moving. Therefore I move him back, move him where he's about to pass to, and therefore I was able to diffuse the situation quite narrowly, but I was able to correct my mistakes by understanding what the options are for my opponent. So this was the analysis of some defensive sequences, and I hope it was quite insightful for you to see how I shift my focus in terms of vision and act accordingly to what I'm seeing. We think that these kind of videos can be quite helpful for you, because they not only cover a certain concept on how to defend, for example, but also how to transfer the theoretical knowledge into specific actions. What do I see? What kind of idea develops based on that? And how do I convert this into an action? Now we are really interested in what you think about such a video. Is it helpful or insightful? Do you like this form of presentation? Is it too long or too short? Initially, I planned to cover more scenes, but it would have made the video much longer. Do you have any other feedback? If you enjoyed the video and the new format, please leave a like to let us know. It also helps us out to further grow this channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're new and activate notifications to not miss any of the upcoming videos. And as mentioned before, if you're interested in getting your game analyzed like that, check out our individual coaching offers with Pro, Top 100 and Elite players at our website. The link is in the video description. Thanks for your attention, keep a clean sheet, I'm out.